last year, I decided to build an export community where a lot of people here are members of this community. Is that I understand that Igbo people are chasing importation. And importation is draining the Nigerian economy. Are you listening? How is importation draining the Nigerian economy? How? Ask me how. Now, exactly. Now, India, you take the naira that you make here. Remember I said the unit value of dollar against the naira is 790 over here? So that is to say for every dollar you're spending, to acquire every dollar you're spending 790 naira. That is the 790 units of our naira. Look at it as units, don't look at it as money so that you can understand what I'm trying to say. 790 units of our own money is giving you 1 unit of US dollar. It's madness now. When in the 80s, 70s, 80s, you know, our money had more value than their money. Nigerians who were asked to go to America to go and study didn't want to go. A lot of people didn't want to go. And what am I going there to do? Because really Nigeria was wealthy and the economy was doing very well. But look at it today. Look at it today. It's 790 units of our money for 1 unit of their money. It is not fair in any way. So what you're doing is that you're draining the Nigerian economy to get the dollar to do what? Import commodities. So you're taking all our money and you're shipping them overseas. So what we need to do is face export. So that's why I made it a point that I will teach Nigerian, the Igbo businessman, that export is where the money is. Because what is happening is that you're going to the bank for every container you import. Most of them take loans from the bank. I'm taking loans from the bank for my business. And they're giving you loans at 30% interest rate. And it's higher now because central bank just raised interest rates. So that is to say you're actually working for the bank. During the pandemic, I was overseas. I traveled in February. I shipped some goods in February, late January, traveled in February. Again, I'm going to talk to you guys about that, the different kind of export that I do. I have dual nationality, right? So there's a kind of export that I can do that most of you can't do. I can decide to move, you know, to a country in Europe right now and go and distribute my goods, and I can do that because I can just travel without a visa. Do you understand? Now, that was what I did that year. I traveled in February, first week of February, March, the pandemic struck. And my goods had just landed, and I had just finished clearing those goods, and the pandemic struck, and they shut us down. We were shut down for 4 good months. So you can imagine, I took money from the bank for that transaction. But I did everything possible to make sure now the bank will work. Do you understand? Because if I come back tomorrow, I still need the bank to give me a loan, so I don't want to default. So that transaction, the only person that benefited from that transaction that year was the bank. I lost money, but the bank benefited. So, and that's because I decided to go and do, I export, but you know how it is. I took the money from the bank. But if in export, what you need to do is find the buyer, which is what we're talking about here today. With social media and virtual representation, you can find the buyer. When you find the buyer finances your export. Please, I don't need these distractions. If you find the buyer finances your export. Because all you simply need to do with the virtual representation that you've created is to promote your business globally. Please, I don't need distractions. Is to promote your business. When an international buyer finds you, he says, okay, I found this Mrs. Osai now, and she's selling bitter cola. I need the bitter cola. Okay, she reaches out to her and says, I need 20 containers of bitter cola. She sends a pro forma invoice. You know, they kick off a series of correspondences, right? And then they begin to, you know, fire emails back and forth. At the end of the day, they agree on the price and the quantity. And then what happens? The buyer's bank sends a letter of credit to her bank. Yes. Now, when that LC gets to her, it is as good as that. That's right. It's as good as money. Because there are banks and there are businessmen who will take the LC and fund that business 100% and think over your money will not go inside. Right? So you see that you don't need the bank to do export. Meanwhile, only will naturally bank. And they're taking all your profit. But if you do export, actually, the buyer funds the export. And at the end of the day, you receive money in foreign currency. The goods I shipped that year in 2020, sorry about that. The goods I shipped that year in 2020, none of them sold less than 4 times the value I bought them in Nigeria. So that's the beautiful thing about export, is that you're getting the money many times over. And so that's where you should be looking. Okay? So the most important element in export is finding international buyer. So let me rush, there are a few things I need to show you before we close. So how to find buyers for your export products. Find a market. How to identify foreign markets for your export products with the help of product analysis and market research. Okay, so here it says, you have to first of all ask yourself the basic question, where is the demand? Okay, that product that you want to sell, where is the demand? Remember I told you about the map that shows you where you can find the commodities and the countries that buy those commodities. You know, and where you can buy, who buys those commodities, right? And so once you know the product, you can also use the internet to research the companies. America buys a lot from us, right? And so you find out what America buys the most, and you decide, okay, America is my market, and then you begin to promote, those products.
Like Mr. Cola.
Yes, they buy Mr. Cola.
America buy Mr. Cola.
Yes.
They have to give you a license to bring it.
They buy so, but that's the FDA. They have to get FDA to ship edible products. So is this a stable market? It's not just that, okay, this market is profitable, and then Bangladesh, Nigeria, for example, Sudan now. Sudan could be buying a particular product, or would you go to Sudan? No, it's not a stable market. So these are some of the research that you have to do. Find out the companies that buy that are profitable to ship to, but find out if they are also stable, right? Now, is that selling there, is it profitable? You have to find out if there are other countries that sell the same commodities to them that are cheaper. Because they could have neighbors that ship the same product, and because of the cost of freight, they can edge you off based on the cost of freight. Their cost of freight is cheaper, and at the end of the day, they are selling at a cheaper rate, so you can't really sell competitively. Are there trade barriers? You have to find out about trade barriers, right? Is there climate business? Is the climate business friendly? Finding buyers for your export business. Once you've settled on a market for your export product, the next step is to find your buyers within this market. There are both online and offline ways to find foreign buyers. So being a member of the internet generation, let's look at the online options first. So online, website and blogs, right? Remember I talked about virtual representation, that's website. Talked about social media, right? There are website and blogs where people write articles. People use these articles to also promote their products. So two ways you can do it. You can actually write an article about your product, and at the end of the day, you put a contact or a website, right? But you can also write another catchy article, that captures people's attention. But at the end of the article, you put your contact, and your product so that people can reach out to you. If I'm trying. So email marketing. Okay, but email marketing is another way. Now, how many of you have encountered websites when you click on the website, the first thing it asks you before you can advance is to put your email?
Yes, every time.
Yes. So the reason they do that is that they're collecting your emails, right? They're building an email list. It's very effective, especially when you're targeting Western countries, right? Because they use more emails than we do. So they're collecting your emails. How many of you heard about the young lady who was just cheated out of a $20 million pounds business in the UK? She makes African fashion, something green, fair green or something. She got an Indian partner who maneuvered and just, got her out of the business and took over the business, right? Not only did they took her business and they took her social media accounts with millions of followers and her email list with 300,000 emails. So, you can imagine somebody that has an email list of 300,000. That's money. So, and each of those will be valued at £5 per email. And so anything she posts to send to that email list, imagine that just 1% of that 300,000 decides to buy from her every month. That's a lot of money. So email marketing is another way to promote your export product and find buyers. Then B2B websites. How many of you know about Alibaba? You have even AliExpress, you have 1688, there are a number of them. Okay, you have websites such as Alibaba, Global Sources, DHgate, Made in China, TradeWheel, iOffer, there are a number of them, right? You can go to this website and create your own profile. create your own profile, and list your products there, right? The owners of this website promote them, right? And so people in these countries can easily find you. People in China can find you through AliExpress. They can find you through Trade Wheel and global sources.